Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of the Normal Isn't Necessary podcast. This is the Road Rants DTE series, where I tell you that there's 184 miles left in my tank before I have to get gas again. I'm your host, Gumball Head. It's the 10th of June, 2026. It's 7:33 a.m. with a temperature of 81 degrees in Cincinnati, Ohio. And let's chat a little bit about things. Road Rants series is a series where I drive my car and I talk about stuff. And it's not always bad stuff. It's not always good stuff. But today it's a mishmash of stuff. I was checking the statistics over the last couple of days. Sunday, we had 257 downloads in California alone. On Monday, we had 254 downloads in West Virginia. Those two states are killing it. Last month, Michigan was within a couple of hundred downloads coming towards the end of the month at 1,900, just shy of California's 2,300 goal for the month of last month. So California is consistently stepping up to the bat and downloading our podcast. We appreciate that, guys. I wish I could put music on our podcast. I really do. I would love an opportunity to, play songs and maybe even turn this into a radio show, but it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. However, we do interview a lot of musicians, and I've been seeing Alexandra, one of our previous guests, pop up all over the place. Like, she is on fire right now, promoting her stuff. Same thing with Allie from Forge the Sun. Between Forge the Sun and Sharp Lives, she's killing it. She is absolutely killing it, getting ready to fly out to California in the next month, I believe, month or so, to record with the Beartooth producer. So she's doing a wonderful job as well. Guys, that's the proof in the social media. If you use it for the things that you want it to provide for you in life, it's possible. When I interviewed Forge the Sun, they had under 2,000 followers. We actually got them up to, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 2,000 followers during our podcast. Since then, they've absolutely exploded. We're so proud of them. We're so proud of each and every one of our guests that have come onto the show and doing the things that they've done with themselves and providing themselves the opportunity to promote themselves. Because in this day and age, if you don't know someone, you got to be that someone. And, there's a lack of humility in this world when it comes to self-promotion, because you can't have it. You just can't have it. When you're trying to promote yourself, you kind of, you either do or you don't. That's it. I mean, there's not really any in between. You can't sit back and let people control your destiny. That's why I took the bull by the horns and started promoting the podcast the way that we do. You guys want to sponsor yourselves on our podcast, you're more than welcome to. Send us a message, normalisn'tnecessarypodcast@gmail.com. We'll get you, I'll even make your advertisement. I'll create the advertisement. If you want to do a quick 10, 15 second blurb, I'll create an ad for you. Just for your sponsorship dollars. Different platforms, different levels. Just have to reach out to Dre over there at normalisn'tnecessarypodcast@gmail.com. She'll get you squared away. She'll get you set up with the advertisement, and she'll take your money too. Or you can find us on other socials. Gumball Head on Facebook. Facebook.com, explore the Gumball. You'll find us there. Or the easiest way, go to our website, gumballhead.com. Find our link tree, and then all of our links are there. This past weekend, we had a family weekend where we just spent time together, all of us as a family. There was a pool involved. There was an amazing, epic toy store. We went to a place in Cincinnati, Ohio called King Arthur's Court. It's a toy store and indoor playground. What an amazing place. We had fun playing on the zip lines, in the playhouses in the basement. I got to stumble across some nostalgia. Got to see some of the old school stuff that that I played with when I was a kid. I got to see some toys that I remember my dad having from when he was a kid, like Yo-Yo, the little green army guys, little ball and a cup. That wasn't really popular when I was a kid. That was previous to us. We had paddle balls. Those were popular. I don't think those are ever going to go away. But the little ball in the cup thing, that game was popular for my dad. Actually, my dad's youth. I don't know if my dad ever played with it, but I'm sure he did. But yeah, just a lot of really cool toys at that place, and it was really fun to walk through. And really fun to hang out with the kids. There's a zip line indoors. There's just a lot going on in that store. We hit the park a couple of times. We hit the pool a couple of times. We had a great weekend. And over the course of the weekend, wife and I started talking about maybe it's time for me to start going back and learning and relearning the 12 steps because of the podcast. Going back and studying and finding out if there's any new tips, tricks, or techniques to the recovery world, and getting back into promoting that even heavier, as that's what our podcast and our website and everything was founded around, was sobriety, and got so hyper focused on those things that we stepped away from, the basics. And I thought that was an amazing idea. I thought it was a great idea. Moss props to Miss Dre for making that suggestion. That'll probably do my brain a little good, getting back into being around that. Not only that, but I created a lot of relationships and a lot of friends just in the recovery community alone. But I also learned a lot. And I want to kind of touch base on this real quick, because not everybody in recovery is cool. We had Recovery Dharma, which was a brand new program that I was trying to push out in Kalamazoo. And then we had Refuge Recovery, which was a Buddhist-based, Dharma-based program that we had, that we were working on getting. That was the program I was in when I relapsed the first time. I had founded the program in Kalamazoo, co-founded it with a couple of my friends, and we grew that into a very large Sangha. It was a word-of-mouth Sangha too, so we wanted people to show up, but it wasn't required. And some meetings we had 2 or 3 people, and some meetings we had 20 people. I mean, it was a very large community sometimes. But the worst thing about it is, I relapsed, and the Sangha had told me that they wanted to take the community back and control the community. I was humble, but I was angry. I understood the collapse of my mental health when it came to being successful and then relapsing into alcoholism again. And it was a few times, I fell back into it. But the last time was a one time. I had been sober for just over a year, and I had drank a lot that day. Now, mind you guys, this is 9 years ago, so it wasn't any time recent. And I had some problems that came associated with it. I'm not ashamed to talk about them, but I'm not going to offer up that information either. If you want to know, you gotta reach out and ask me. But the community, the Sangha, the people that were involved that wanted to take it over, did not go about it the appropriate way. And I'm not here to talk negative or talk, bad about the people that took over the community, because it needed to happen. It was a big thing. They continued on with Refuge Recovery and then converted over to Recovery Dharma eventually because of the allegations against Noah Levine with Refuge Recovery Worldwide Services. And I'm not going to go too deep into this, but it just goes to show that the power of community can actually alter the strength of the program. Once the program was turned over, the numbers started to dwindle substantially because it was being run incorrectly. It was being run by someone who was financially motivated as opposed to donations based. And I don't think, in my opinion, that we should, in recovery, unless you're a program, an insurance, based program, or unless you are a accredited program, people shouldn't be charging money for help. I think mental health and, addiction services should be free, or not necessarily should be free, but there should be free options or low monetization options available. And that's the beauty of AA. But if you look at the way AA is run and the way that the program is organized and set up, that's a multi-million-dollar organization, let me rephrase that, organization, that takes in a lot of money annually by the members of AA. And financially, if you don't have those numbers, it's very difficult to cover the costs of renting or leasing a space for meetings. Now, why am I in this? Why am I talking about this? Well, I've looked at the programs here in the Cincinnati market, and a majority of the programs here are AA or NA. There are low numbers of Buddhist-based programs in the Cincinnati area, which is fine. But if I want to go to a recovery Dharma meeting, I have to travel well over an hour to go. And then the refuge recovery meeting that's in the area is a women's only group, so I can't go to that at all. Are we talking about maybe starting a refuge recovery or recovery Dharma meeting in the area? It's been in the brain, but I'm realistic. There's a lot going on in our life to where it would be very challenging for us to organize a meeting like that to that magnitude again, unless we had extreme involvement in local people in the area. So I want to consider it, but I don't want to spearhead it again. That was a lot of work and a lot of effort to have creating something and then turning it over to other people. Now, that's not me being selfish. It's a grassroots-based program. It takes a community to continue to maintain a program of that magnitude. But to start it off as one person and grow that community, it takes an awful lot of effort. So if you're in the Cincinnati area and you're interested in starting a refuge recovery, please reach out. I will happily help you facilitate and organize and grow and build that program in the area. However, I'm not really anticipating me starting a program anytime soon. I'd love to get back to it, though. Now, I did get on to In the Rooms recently, and I did a 6 p.m. meeting, and I can't remember who was running the meeting, but there were some things that I liked about the meeting and some things that I didn't like about the meeting. The first thing I want to point out, it was nice because the meeting was accessible, and the opening was pretty normal. They read from the big book and did the ideas, concepts, principles, steps. But there was a lot of issue with it. First and foremost, the people that were set up to do the readings, we had to sit there and wait for people to come up into the box and do the readings. And I didn't like that. It was just too much delay. The beginning of meetings, the meetings are supposed to be the preamble, the 12 steps, and then the meeting is supposed to start. This meeting had far too many different involvements, too many hiccups, that before the preamble was read and the 12 steps were read, we were 10 minutes in. And then one of the guests that did end up reading showed their humor, and I like it when people are humorous. I like it when people take a open-hearted approach to recovery in AA, but I don't think that an AA meeting is a good place to joke about things. And with well over 100 people in the room, I'm sure I'm not the only person that felt the way that he did, or the way that I did. Because there are people that take their recovery very seriously, and then there's people that find it easier to kind of joke about those things. When you're in a large platform and you're speaking to, for, and about a group of people, it's probably best, unless you're at a comedy show, to keep the comedy to yourself. And again, I'm not smashing or shaming this recovery meeting by any means. I was a guest. It's the first time I had been in there in a while. I don't know if that's the way that meeting goes every time. I don't know if that's the reason why people actually attend that meeting. But it wasn't in the rooms meeting, and it was the 6 p.m. AA Eastern, and there was just too many jokes, and I didn't like it. I just didn't like the way that it worked. And going forward, I'm going to miss that 6 p.m. meeting because I didn't like the way it worked out. Now, if I find that this person is in multiple meetings, I'll definitely either speak to the host of the meetings, or I will speak to this person directly. But do I have a voice in the crowd? No, not really. Again, it's an online meeting, so the odds are automatically against me. The truth is if you go to a meeting and you don't like it, go to a different meeting. Try something else out. Try a different approach. Try a different platform. Try a different time slot. Try a different type. And also remember too, just because you're an alcoholic doesn't mean that you cannot go to an NA meeting if that's the only thing available to you. Addiction is addiction. Recovery is a community of people that come together and support one another in their efforts to live a better lifestyle, to do better with their lives, to overcome that addiction, to overcome that mindset that you have to continuously consume in order to be satisfied. It's important to be aware of those things, because it's important to be a part of that community. It's important to be a part of a group that has that love for one another, that has no issues with growing as a community or as an individual based on their desires and their desired outcome. So sorry that got a little bland and a little bit boring, but recovery isn't fun. And you can make it fun, as I was just speaking of, this fellow that was being humorous about things. But, there's a time and a place for that. And there is a venue for that. It's called a comedy club. And there are places that have those, humor-based recovery campaigns. But this one was a closed meeting, 6 p.m., time for a change. And the format is not open. It should be following a template. So, guys, that's about all I have for today. Unfortunately, it's not a lot of great content as far as, good times. But it is, in my opinion, a way of showing that support to others and motivating people to continue on their search, because it's not always going to be the way you want it to be. It's just not. Your job isn't that way. Your relationship isn't that way. Recovery is not going to be that way. Addiction is not going to be that way. Addiction is such a terrible, ugly monster that takes away our joy and robs us of time And just kind of one of those moments over the course of the weekend that I just clicked was, I have all these kids and we're having a great time. And it dawned on me, this is why I got sober. This is why, I decided to do better for me, for my mental health, do better for me and my physical health, so that I can enjoy those moments and I can remember those moments. And I continue to enjoy and remember those moments as time goes by. My kids deserve the world because they can't create that world for themselves. I already am open and transparent about my assertive parenting style. It's not always assertive, but it's assertive when it needs to be. And it's important for our kids to understand the difference between right and wrong. And unless we bring that attention to them about the difference between right and wrong, they'll never understand it. They'll never be able to sit back and go, hey, my dad went through this stuff, because my kids are never going to see that side of me. My older kids, they already went through and they saw that side of me. And once they get their mind set a certain way, it's impossible to convert it to any other way. To convert it over to, the mindset of, hey, you know what? My dad's a really great guy. My dad was a monster, and he was mean, and he was rude, and, it's tough to make that change. And I've had to accept that as a human being, that, I did ruin a lot of good moments for my kids. I ruined a lot of good opportunities in my life as a result of, alcohol. And I can't take them back. What I can do, though, is learn from my mistakes of the past, and that's really one of the hardest parts about recovery, is learning from our mistakes and acknowledging those mistakes because of our faults and our failures too. So keep that in mind as you go through your day. Until our paths cross, stay strong, stay focused, stay sober. Much love. We'll see you guys soon.